Mr Henkel met with Mr Juncker in Strasbourg, attempting to encourage the Commission boss to offer Britain a fresh deal in order to protect Europe from Brexit. The German went to the Commission President with a list of concerns, which he believes many European Union bosses are ignoring to the detriment of the bloc. Ahead of the discussion, Mr Henkel warned the significant negative impact of Brexit on the remaining 27 countries. Justifies the EU offering Britain a deal which avoids a tragedy of historical dimensions. However, today the EU has been reluctant to offer anything to Britain, urging Theresa May's negotiators to make the first move. Getty Express. Brexit News. Hans-Olaf Henkel reveals contents of crunch meeting with Jean-Claude Juncker. I think Jean-Claude Juncker is starting to realize that Brexit has severe repercussions for Europe. Hans-Olaf Henkel speaking to Express.co.uk immediately after his meeting with Mr Juncker. Mr Henkel said, "We agreed on certain things and agreed to disagree on others. We both deeply regret Brexit. I think that he is having an understanding. Brexit has also significant disadvantages for the European Union. I could explain to him some examples, like in the automotive industry for Germany. On the other hand, he gave me some examples of problems and complications which I did not know. I think he is starting to realize that Brexit has severe repercussions for Europe." Mr Henkel also revealed that the Mr Juncker sees Britain's European Union divorce as a personal defeat, but refuses to admit the European Commission has its own share of blame for Brexit. "I mentioned the centralization tendencies of Brussels, which were against the grain of the British people," the German added. "I also mentioned my opinion that David E. Cameron did not get the degree of autonomy to control immigration as he should have. He said that David E. Cameron got more or less everything he wanted. So here we disagreed." Wednesday, July 26, 2017. European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker greets EU Commission Chief Spokesperson Margrethe Auken as the German MEP, a vice-chairman for European Conservatives and Reformists Group, urged Mr Juncker to offer Britain the best deal possible, adding, "Of course, his official line was the remaining 27 countries of the European Union have one line and he thinks he will follow that line. In other words, he waits for Britain to make the first move. At this stage, he did not promise me he would come up with a new deal for Britain." Mr Juncker's anti-Brexit attitude should be a concern for the remaining EU member states because the long-term repercussions for the EU have yet to be understood, warned Mr Henkel. The German concluded the typical continental attitude that a bad deal for Britain doesn't really concern us much. "I think that is a gross miscalculation.